What's going on, Undrafted family? It's so great to be with you guys today. We just want to say welcome to another episode of episode 2 of Undrafted. And we just want to say, hi, I'm Mel Tarasi.
I'm Coach Danny.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are just so excited to be with you guys today with our special guest coach, David Mariani. So we're really going to get into that today and really learn, really be able to soak and really be able to just take it to the next level. Let's see what we can do with the information and knowledge we learned today. We want to also say thank you so much for Smiles Missionary Foundation, which is also our sponsor for our episode 2. This foundation focuses on offering youth and adults the possibility of a better education, essential medical care for normal development of a childhood, basic and essential nutrients for everybody's growth, ease of attending school, and developing moral and social values, and most importantly, spiritually, that will help the child and the families to grow into a good human being. And at the same time, it gives each of our participants the privilege of discovering and fulfilling a purpose in their lives. So we want to say thank you so much, Smiles Missionary Foundation and Pastor Gustavo Squarzone, for giving us the opportunity to advertise you and be one with you. So please help us to draw smiles on family faces all over the world.
Thank you so much for that, Melly. That was we really thank you, Smiles, as well. As we stated, thank you for the support and obviously for what you're doing around the world. So now for like how you said, we're really excited to introduce our guest. He goes by the name of David Mariani. He is from Kenosha, Wisconsin. So we're very excited. A couple things that we can get to know him a little better before we introduce him on air is like I said, he's from Kenosha, Wisconsin. He went to Kenosha Christian Life in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was a couple awards that he won was he led the conference in field goal percentage, as well as he was top 5 in the 3-point field goal percentage. So he was a little shooter. We got a shooter. He after that he attended a D2 school by the name of Cedarville University, which is located in Ohio. While attending the university, he started training. So while being an athlete, he was also training other athletes within the program. So that's where he started building his reputation. After attending that D2 school, he went to Carthage College, which is in his hometown of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Nice. Where he won Defensive Player of the Year. So that's very impressive because that conference within the Wisconsin area is considered one of the best conference in D3 basketball. So that's very, very so that's
awesome. The defense, everything. Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, there's a lot more to Mr. Mariani than we may know, and I'm very excited and just super stoked to have him on the podcast and learn about everything. So how you doing, sir?
What's up, guys? The pleasure's all mine. I'm excited about this. I'm excited to chop it up with you guys.
Nice.
Thank you. David, something that we do here, I know this is only our second episode, but this is something that we've been trying to, kind of keep up with. It is a question that emphasizes why, in essence, we started our podcast. And the question is, what does the word undrafted mean to you, as well as what does it signify to you? So that can be whether within your work field or playing basketball or as an athlete, or simply just as a person.
Wow, put me on the spot right away. For me, for the first thing that comes to mind is like a ranking system, and I was never really ranked. I got all conference in high school, but I wasn't ranked in my state, even though if you do the math, an all conference would constitute towards a state ranking. So, I've taken pride in what I've done as far as being able to make the most of any situation. I wasn't raised in a basketball family. I kind of had to go undrafted and figure things out on my own.
And you said you weren't from a basketball family. What would be the family sport then?
There really wasn't much sports actually growing up. There was a little bit emphasis on soccer. Being from Italy, but he didn't really play sports, and my mother didn't really play sports. Soccer became kind of our family sport because one of my older sisters, Katie, was All-American, just a straight baller when it came to soccer. So that was kind of the sport, and my dad's 5'5", going up to my junior year of high school, I was 5'6", so I thought soccer would be it for me. When I started to grow a lot in high school, that's when I started to shift my focus towards basketball and started to fall in love with the game of basketball.
How tall are you now, if you don't mind?
When people ask on Instagram, I say Kevin Durant 6'1". If you know what that means.
Yeah.
It's probably closer to 6'5". I think the last time I actually got my height tested, I think it was 6'5".
Okay.
But I've always played it as an undersized, smaller guard. So when people ask on Instagram, I say KD 6'1", because that kind of embodies, the path that I've gone. I wasn't 6'5" as a freshman in high school, ranked, heavily touted. It wasn't that at all. It was a completely different story.
Okay, very good. With that question in mind, also, Coach, we wanted to ask you. I'm a big fan of your Athletic Truth group that I started following, and as a coach, as a trainer as well. I just wanted to ask you, how did you get started with them, and how has that experience been? How that far? Like, how long have you been with them? Can you tell us something positive about your work?
Yeah, it was really my life's work that led me up to finding them. So, from 18 on, I got to college, 6'3", probably soaking wet, 150 pounds, so completely undersized.
Okay.
Kind of find strength and conditioning route that would be a little different than traditional to catch up with the curve. So I was always looking for new things, for new programs that I could implement with myself. And then when I stopped playing, I could start implementing with the athletes I train, which led me to ultimately Knees Over Toes on Instagram over 2 years ago. And then I messaged him, telling him like, hey, like we've been doing Knees Over Toes at my gym, but it's not as specific to basketball. It's from Triphasic, which is Chaldeans up in Minnesota. And I liked how Ben had embodied it, Knees Over Toes, in regards to basketball. So I messaged him. He messaged back right away, and it was telling me, hey, I'm about to release my online platform for the first time. So
Nice.
Released it. I was one of the first 5 members, and I started doing it. Like all the programs that I would get, I would do it myself, and then it would take like a month or two, and then I would put my athletes on it. But this program was different. Ben had figured out things that other programs hadn't figured out. So after the first session, I started to throw people on it, and then like throughout the first month, all my athletes, over 100 athletes in the Kenosha area at the time, were Knees Over Toes, ATG style athletes. And then I had company Most Performance, and I was running that. And then my goal, the moment I met Ben and came upon what he was doing down in Clearwater at the time, Florida, it was engraved in me that I wanted to be a part of what was going on a bigger level than just being one of the online members. And one of the athletes I was working with at the time had a huge following, and I think even he could sense it. Like, hey, Dave's not going to stick around to really try to push most. The whole point of Most Performance was to find the best program for athletes, regardless of opinions. Results matter. And once I came upon ATG, that program was what Most Performance was always set out to be. So I didn't want to try to rebrand that as, hey, this is Most Performance. No, this is Ben Patrick. He learned from Charles Poliquin. These are Knees Over Toes style training, and there's no point of me trying to rewrite one of the greatest stories in sports, as you guys will continue to find out with Ben being one of the greatest stories in sports. For me, it was never a situation, and part of that goes back to me being undrafted. I didn't have this ego that, hey, when I found Ben's program, okay, I'm going to do it, but do it better. I knew right away, hey, this is the mecca of training. This is something that has never been done before in the style it's being done, and the amount of results in the last 2 years has been historic. So I was always telling him, I told him right away, hey, when I got on the online program and started working, I said, bro, like, let me be janitor, at that gym.
Just trying to get your foot in the door.
And let me do whatever, the kids classes, let me coach kids classes, let me do odd jobs in Clearwater just to be around the gym, let me, find a way. And I think that, really spoke to him, because all the guys that work for ATG are all products of ATG.
Okay.
Terrence, Brian, Celia, Marley, I'm trying to think of everybody, Mike, Uncle Drew, everybody's a product of it. So everybody at one point came upon ATG, did the program, transformed themselves, and then started helping people around them. So that drew me to that. I had always been looking for that team, and that is was what ATG provided, was that team.
That's good.
And yeah, so then I started it was about 5 months ago, dropped the LLC, dropped Most Performance, start working with Ben and ATG directly. So we did a presentation on an app called the Most app, very successful, but at the same time, it would compete a little bit with what ATG had going on. So finally we came together and said, hey, let's drop the app, let's bring you on board. And I've been on for, I want to say, a little bit over 5 months, and it's been been a dream.
It's recent. Nice.
It's been everything in my life I've shot, aimed to work for. They had already built, and so they sold the gym in Clearwater. There's no hard location right now. Everything's online. I don't anticipate that we won't have a hard location, brick and mortar, in the near future. But right now, everything's online. So if you want, from myself or Ben or ATG, you're going to have to go through the online route, which is actually, perfect for a situation where we're in we're having a virus and people are responding. And not politics of it, but make it simple. Hey, just go online. We don't need to talk about whether, it's a pandemic or not. Let's just, if your season's getting canceled, this is the perfect time to make gains and get on the online program. You can do it from, you don't even need equipment. So,
Okay. Good. It sounded like you answered a lot of the questions that are coming up, which is fantastic. But I did want to point something out to you, Coach Mariani. And one thing is that you said that stood out to me was that you're a coachable person. You just want to learn, you just want to be a part, and you just want to continue to be that domino effect to those athletes that are going to fall under you, and that same work ethic. And I find that admiring, because now that you're, I guess, in your dream job with Athletic Truth Group, it kind of gives you, more space, more time, and more ability to do what you want to do in your passion. And I think that's really awesome. So I'm really happy to hear that you've joined that team, and I'm happy for you. I'm excited. All right. What is the best advice you can share with young adults and athletes on taking care of their bodies? What is your golden rule, Coach?
The golden rule would be seek out the truth and never settle for, what makes you comfortable. Sometimes we accept things that we accept what we believe is the truth because it's comfortable. A lot of times, what's going to bring the best results, whether you're an adult or you're just a young athlete, is to find those weaknesses and not run from them. Just go head on and attack those weaknesses, and that will even bring up your strengths even more. So, truth out, don't settle for anything less than what actually works. Real results matter, and that's something we preach at ATG.
Do you think that a lot of that has to do with mentorship and the teaching and the coaching of it? Do you think that just comes from the person or the athlete from within?
I think a little bit of both. There has to be that internal motivation, but there also does need to be some type of guidance, because what I'm trying to do with my platform is to share my experiences so that athletes don't have to suffer through the things that I had to suffer through. Their injuries, the going to schools that maybe not, maybe you weren't like the top pick, all that stuff. I want to, not save athletes, but give them the opportunity to get the most out of their situation, and not get caught up, doing a program that doesn't work, or listening to a coach who hasn't shown the improvements themselves. That's the big thing is we're trying to practice what we preach. If you see the Instagram, you see that it's not just, us trying to sell a program and get rich off of it. It's us staying in, we call it in the trenches, in the lab, whatever it is, basketball biology lab. We stay there because that's how we know that the program works. That's how we know that people are going to get results. So that goes a long way. And, if you're a young athlete that's watching this, some of the things that will benefit you the most are some of the things that maybe you're being told not to do. When I have my exercise science degree, I have my CSCS, and they told us not to go knees over toes. And it took me a while.
That was going to be my next question. Exactly. The reasoning behind knees over toes, because we're all exercise science majors.
Okay.
And so we were always taught as well, if the knees go past the toes, you're doing it wrong, just to give a short sum. But that being said, what is the theory behind that, and how is it beneficial?
Right. So it stems from a Duke 1978 study that said if your knees go past your toes, there'll be more shear force on your knees, which is I don't think that anybody would debate that. But from that study, they said, okay, you shouldn't train your knees over your toes. Well, what do we know about sports? If we load the bar up with as much weight as possible and we squat one rep as max heavy as we can go, we would still have to times those forces by 10 to produce the amount of force that is happening when you cut, when you deaccelerate, and when you jump on a playing field. So to not train knees over toes actually has a higher likelihood of injury and decreased performance. And it's actually like I don't want to start taking jabs, but it's interesting if you follow the path of way things are played out. Duke put out that study in 1978. I don't remember there being a elite Duke player that hasn't dealt with some type of nagging injury. Some of the people like Grant Hill come to mind, and it's like, were they following that? Was their strength coach pushing that? Which it probably was, because I have guys in the NBA and I hear the horror stories. You would think NBA strength coaches know the most, or D1, University of Kentucky, those strength coaches know the most. But those guys that set in a system that Duke set up, 1978, they've been following it ever since. Most of these strength coaches can't touch rim. I'm not buying a program from a strength coach who can't touch rim. If I'm going to a school, I'm picking on my college right now, and I go on a visit, and that strength coach can't touch rim, I'm not going. And I would not advise any of my athletes to go that route either. There's only two colleges, Eastern Florida, and I forget the other one, that are running ATG right now. It will be more mainstream in the next year or two. But if you're a young athlete looking to go to school, you have to either, one, go to a school where they're doing ATG, which is going to be hard to find, or two, like some of my athletes, you're going to have to go to a school where your coach allows you to do your own training and programming, which is ultimately what led me to Carthage. Was they were going to let me do my own program. If I stayed at Cedarville, I would have had to do Cedarville's program. It wasn't working. I was dealing with injuries, and I wasn't good enough to play to begin with at that level. And I didn't realize it until I got there. So I was stuck in this situation where it's, hey, what do I do if I stay here in Ohio? I'm not going to, I might never crack the roster, let alone, the starting five. So I talked to the Carthage coaches. They were going to let me do my own thing, which is ultimately what led me to going to Carthage. And then I was actually running a strength program while I was playing at Carthage.
Nice.
But even then, I was running it under information that I was getting from my undergrad. And this is where, the question about mentors, it can be huge, because if your mentor is, actually producing results themselves, their information is going to be more valuable than a college education. I go on lives, every day on Instagram. I do questions every week. And one of the ones I get the most is, hey, if I'm looking at, and bettering my knowledge in exercise science, do I sign up for college, or do I sign up for ATG online coaching? And to me, it's a no-brainer, because for the first month, and you can cancel anytime, for the first month, it's $30 on ATG, and you can learn everything in 1 month. And you could even, copy it, and you can use it for the rest of your life for $30 for 1 month. You go to exercise science, some of these schools are talking about $60,000 a year. What are you getting from $60,000 a year? I challenge the people that tune in, to ask themselves, what are you getting from that $60,000 a year? You're actually going to be you're going to be setting yourself further back, because you're going to be under the impression that training knees over toes is incorrect, that you're going to be, doing things incorrectly, when in reality, that's not the case. And it can really set you back. I don't say that to discourage people from going to the academia route, but we have to look at it for what it is. Academia is a business when you get to the college level, whether we're talking about sports, or if we're just talking about, just the regular schooling, exercise science. It is a business, just like ATG is a business, but that's set upon finding the truth and helping others, where I can't say the same for college. And I've gotten a lot of smoke from it, but I'm not changing hands. The best way is to push the truth. And the truth is if I were to do it again, a lot of the things I wouldn't do differently, because it led me where I would go. But if I was somebody that's watching this at 17, 18, and I'm freaking out about how I'm gonna take out student loans, but just forget about that. Get most of them lawns, get that $30, start the program, and see it for yourself. Not only are you getting the information that Ben's come up with and gotten, you're also getting your form coach. So there is an accountability and a feedback that you're not going to get at college, because when I was in my exercise science program, there was no prereqs. There was no there was no 40 testing or vertical doc or whatever, or even just showing improvement through the semester. None of that. Hey, can can you learn this book knowledge, and then, you know, regurgitate it onto a test form? And to me, that there may be a place and time for that. But when it comes to, you know, being hands-on with athletes, nothing's better than just showing them. I can sit athletes down and talk to them for days. You know, I love to talk. You guys are already experiencing that. But
Bro, it's knowledge. It's knowledge.
All in.
I'm out here in LA, just take you to the court myself, just show you what I know on the court as far as what Ben's been teaching, the skills, and then we would go to the strength room and I'd show you there. I would show you there. I tried to do that with my Instagram. COVID, people can't come see me. Hey, look at my Instagram. We're showing you exactly what we're doing. Yeah, we're showing high levels of it, but that's what the program is for. $30, you know, can get you how to do it, how to scale it. So whether it's, you know, your grandma that's 86, which we do have 86-year-olds on the program, or
wow,
kid that's 6 years old, 7-year-old, which we have, you can find where you're at on that scale, that gradient scale, and then progress accordingly. And at times, which people are very uncomfortable with, regress on the scale, and that will further progress later on. And that's been a big preaching and talking point for us.
Okay, man, where were you like 10, 15 years ago, bro? I wish I would have known this information
for sure.
Then.
I would have known it. Yeah,
I'm guilty, and that number is actually 80,000. But that being said, sure, we'll move on from there. So you said that people can do some of these exercises, ATG at home without any equipment. What are some things, if you could give, sum up some important exercises, even from youth all the way up to, like you said, 70-year-olds could do without equipment?
Yeah, so the program that we have that's without equipment is called Knee Ability Zero.
Okay.
Zero equipment, and we really like to adapt the mindset of zero excuses. You know, when you stop making excuses, good things really start to happen. But with that being said, something for the listeners that they can take right away: go on the Instagram, look up ROKP, reverse out knee pain. It can start. You know, I have a guy in the NBA right now that just walks backwards because he's so overtrained, and a lot of these older people that are looking to find a place to start. If they're higher at risk, they may want somebody to hold their hands as they slowly go backwards. That way they don't fall. But if you're not falling, just start with 15 minutes going backwards, walk backwards. Your knee will go over your toe. You'll strengthen it with the knee over the toe. It not only will help you from falling, but it will increase your performance, decrease not only knee injuries, but ankle injuries, back injuries, and all that. And then the other one that we like to give out is the toe raises, which our butt is on the wall. Our legs are straight, and then we lift our toes. It's the opposite of a calf raise. So 700,000% more money is being spent studying acceleration exercises, which is flashy, which is what gets likes on Instagram. But the de-accelerating muscles and how to activate those is what's going to save us from this injury epidemic. The 1/5 of the NBA being injured, you know, youth sports being plagued with injuries. They're calling it overuse. I don't think it's overuse. We played a ton as kids. I think it's improper training being forced on these kids. Little bit of AAU, but a lot of it's just bad information. So just start walking backwards. If you're listening, you'll see it, you'll feel it. Sometimes it may take 2 or 3 sessions, but a lot of times it's within that first session, you'll start to feel the positive changes. You'll feel good about it, and then you can do the toe raises. That doesn't require really any form coaching. Now, when we get into the split squat, the KOT squats, the things that look a little bit more extreme, that stuff is going to be, that stuff I don't, if you and try it. This is the disclaimer is I did not tell you to try it. You can
at your own risk, kind of.
What's that?
At your own risk,
right? If you really want to get improvements at home, start with the backwards walking, start with the toe raises, and then once those become easy, then you look into getting the Ability Zero and doing the whole program, because it's not just strengthening, it's the flexibility and everything that it makes it. I think there's over 4,000 members right now, over 2,000 success stories in the last 2 years. This stuff is a product of the truth being pushed, and we don't have egos, we don't have opinions over here. We try it all. If somebody says it works, we'll try it. That's how it led me to ATG. If it was working, we tried it, and then we've always gotten results, but nothing like ATG. ATG results are it's historic.
I know what I've done in order to increase, my vert, but I'm not the pro here. The most I can tell them is, hey, your technique is somehow lacking. But that being said, would some of these exercises be recommendable for them in order to increase their athleticism?
Yeah, definitely. We have a U18 program that is also weightless, so without equipment, and that would be great. But because you guys took the time to ask me questions and show interest in what I'm doing, I want to give this to the viewers and listeners. We call it dunk balance. We call it jump balance. As simple as it is, it can be complex. But let's take a little bit of a deeper look into this, because this is producing first-time dunkers around the world, and it stays consistent with the results. So what it is we go. For me, I'll just share my story. For me, I would only jump off my left foot because it's what got me the highest on my vertical, and then I would neglect my other ones, which is ultimately what would lead to imbalances, which would lead to decreased performance or plateaus or injuries. So jump balance, dunk balance is predicated on practicing all four plants: single leg left, single leg right, right left, and left right. So all four takeoffs that you could do. I'm wearing a Michael Jordan shirt. He didn't practice dunk balance, but he would jump off his left foot, and then in his two leg, he'd go right, left. So he was balanced enough. And he may not even understood that back in the day. He was balanced enough where he never really had serious injuries. Another one that is a little more obvious, Derrick Rose. Look at his highlights. This is stuff that's like I said, this isn't opinion based. This is stuff we can all, if you're watching, you can Google, you can YouTube. Derrick Rose would only jump off his left, or he would only dunk off his left single leg or left right double leg. So his left leg was great at
that was me.
Yep, impact. So what happened was his first injury is a pro hop from his left foot to his right. Since his right isn't used to handling that force, he freaks out. He slams his left foot down and tears his something in his left knee. He comes back from that injury, talks about how he increases vertical, 4 inches and all that, but they never balanced him out. So I think it was 9 days after he said in the Chicago Sun-Times that he increased his vertical, that he was in the best shape of his life. Then he tore everything in his right knee, like he was inevitably going to happen. He puts out the press release, "Why me?" Well, why you? Because your strength coaches don't know what they're doing, and it's sad. It's the sad truth. And I'm not sitting here trying to gun people, but who knows what Derrick Rose? He's the youngest MVP of all time. Who knows what his career looks like if they would have balanced him out early enough, and we would be having a different conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad you said balance too, because. And I watched your live earlier on Monday this week. I noticed you said you had just been working on your left, and then because of not working on your right, you had torn your right meniscus.
Yep.
It's literally, as you were saying it, you were taking the words from what happened to me. Tore my right meniscus, haven't yet gotten it looked at, and you just got to kind of play around it. But that's not the way to do it, though, folks. Right. But that being said, I'm glad you said balance. That's good. Balance,
and then another huge one is wins. So if you have those youngsters and they're trying to touch rim and they're not, I know this better than anybody. I did a jump attack, I did air alert, I had the jumps, I've done all the programs, PGF, I've done them all. If you are trying to dunk and you are constantly missing, that's a negative feedback loop. And over time, whether you want to or not, it's going to create that negative mindset or that thing in the back of your head that says you can't. So another part of what makes dunk balance so great is the wins. So if you're not dunking on 10 feet, well, there's no point of you attempting and missing 30 dunks in a row. Let's bring it down to 9.5. Let's dunk consistently at 9.5, and then when we move it up to 10, we're going to go tennis ball, a volleyball, or a girls basketball or youth basketball, and then we'll go to a normal basketball. So that way we're getting wins. In the back of our head, yes, we can, we're good enough, we can do this. Instead of that, okay, I hate to go back to it, but I would think all the time when I was doing these dunk problems, man, I suck. I'm not good at this. Man, my genetics aren't good. Man, you come up with excuses. You're trying to make sense of why you're plateauing, why you're dealing with injuries. This is Tim Grover's jump attack. He's got Michael Jordan on the cover. Why am I not getting those results? Well, it's hard for kids to look at it, but why is Tim Grover selling a jump book with Michael Jordan on the cover when Michael Jordan was jumping a lot higher before Tim Grover than after Tim Grover? And these are things that it's not my job to go out and constantly speak about what Tim Grover did wrong, but we do need to have awareness for what is happening. How did we get to the overuse epidemic of injuries, or 1/5 of the NBA being injured? We didn't get there by embracing the truth and promoting that. We got there because people want to make money, and the sad reality is, there is people that are out there for just their monetary profits, but that's not ATG. ATG is out there to help people, and that's ultimately my main goal too. And the best way to do that is to push the truth. So if you're listening and you're having a hard time dunking, stop attempting it. If you're close to dunking, stop attempting with a normal size ball. Bring the ball down a little bit in size. Get those wins. Get that positive feedback loop. Then bring back the basketball. You'll be surprised at how quickly you'll get that dunk goal.
Tennis ball, volleyball, basketball.
I think that flows perfectly into the next question that we had, because, like how you mentioned Grant Hill, being a Duke player, I think that's not the only person, obviously, that's gotten injured, especially in the last 2 years. I feel like there's been a lot of injuries, especially being the ACL, PCL, MCL, whatever it may be, knee related. I feel like, that's been, in football, soccer, basketball, anything, I feel a knee type injury has been very common. So I guess my next question to you is, why do you think that those injuries are happening a lot, are a lot more and increasing as we keep going, among these athletes in today?
Well, the amount of stressors are increasing, social media, so like even just your social life, viruses, how we respond to them as a world, those are all things that 30 years ago they weren't dealing with on that capacity. The internet is a beautiful thing, like being able to bring us together to talk like this, but it can also be a very destructive thing, especially with the younger girl athletes that I've dealt with. It's very hard for them to run their socials without there being a constant worry about what other people are posting. The guys don't struggle with it much lately. They are. It used to be, the guy athletes didn't really have as much of a problem with it. Now it seems to be across the board. Those stressors are increasing. It's surprising how many people have been on or have been exposed to ATG, have gotten results, and then gone away from it. That also, it hurts the culture, because if something's working, we should all get behind it.
Of course.
Especially something's working in its opinion. This is why I don't go into diet on my page too much, because that's something that's a little bit more sticky. I can show how lean I am, but I can't show it like I can show dunk balance on the court, or I can show sled pulls on, or reverse ROKP in the turf, or on the strength conditioning room. But definitely the amount of stressors has increased to levels that we've never seen before. More time on blue light, it's an extra stressor. Sleep has gotten worse, and even something like recently with COVID, humans, and not every human, but a lot of humans benefit from coming together as a community and collaborating, being with other people. And when you start to put people safer at home, in-house, it removes a lot of that. This is great what we're doing, but if there's a time and place where we can do this in person, that would be my main goal. I love connecting with people in person. I think there's a huge importance on reducing stress when you can come together with other people and work your problems out, because everybody's suffering. It doesn't matter if you're watching this or not, you're suffering it with something, and even all the way up to the 1%, they're suffering with stuff as well. So a lot of times we can look at it, grass is greener once I make that paycheck, once I do this, once I do that. The grass will be greener when you start embracing the hard truths of life and going at your weaknesses.
Yeah, I think that I like how you said that, some people see the results, but for some reason tend to go away from it. I definitely don't understand why that is. And I guess that also leads to my next question for you. And what's the toughest part about either working or being involved with athletes, or, people that do the program and that may not see their own potential? You may see it as the educator, as the trainer, but they may not see what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, that's tough. Oh man, I've dealt with that a lot, and there's not much you can do other than just try to stay positive. Just try to reinforce them. Hey, don't overinflate the ego. A lot of times when you're dealing with the higher level athletes, you are dealing with egos. What helps a lot too is when I first start working with an athlete, and this is not something I did as much in the past, something I'm doing recently. When I first start working with an athlete, I really try to align what their goals are. Because if I can figure out what the goals are, I can kind of sense, what's going to happen as far as are they going to stay on the program? Are they going to promote it? When it does help them out. Those are all things that you can figure out a lot of times by figuring out what their goals are. If their goals are, hey, I want to have 17 car garage and and a max and a super max contract, that's not the athletes that we're looking to work for. That's not the athletes I'm looking to work for. The athletes that are looking to be the best version of themselves and let that take them wherever they can go, and then use that to help out other people. That, that's ultimately what I'm looking for. And if I'm, if I worked with somebody in the past and I'm not working with them now, that's the reason why the goals didn't align. And that's my goals, is to help people, and then have those people help people. And then, before you know it, even within a couple months, even a couple of years, this world will change for the better.
No, yeah, I agree. It definitely can be stressful. I know from our previous experiences, either as athletes or as coaches, you kind of tend to see, where everybody's head is at. So it's tough. It's tough to keep a positive attitude. But, I feel like when you do keep a positive attitude, you're able to be a better leader yourself. And I feel like that's kind of the platform that you're taking. It's just kind of showing us and the world, hey, this is what works. I'm here to do it. I'm here to show you. If you want to hop on, you're more than welcome. So I really respect you for that. And I think it's cool. And especially from us all having injuries, I think we know where the stem of it is now, listening to everything that you have to say. So my next question to you was, for your ATG program, what's your goal? Like, what's your long-term goal? Do you have any, anything new coming up that you might like to share with us? And, we've always been asked, what's your 5-year plan? So that's kind of where my question is coming from. Here in the next, 3 to 5 years, where do you kind of see yourself and the business going?
Yeah, the short of that would be to help out as many people as possible. That's the short of that. But when 2021 hits, we already started releasing our dribble program, and we're going to reintroduce the jump balance through the app so that they can get coached, their form coached through it. And then in early 2021, we'll release Find a Fam, which is going to be huge, especially coming out of lockdowns. Find a Fam will just be for the people that are signed up for ATG that want to. Their information will be on a map, and then people will be able to find them and work out with them. Because some of these movements, even going backwards, you go to the gym. I've dealt with it. The athletes I've worked with dealt with it. You go backwards, people, poke fun and stuff like that. It can be embarrassing. Yeah. I've gotten past that because I've been doing it long enough, but I see it with everybody that's jumping on currently. Is there is a little bit of this like hesitation to perform some of these movements, and we have memes within ATG and we joke about it ourselves. We know some of it looks goofy, but hey, you know what? I don't care if rolling down a hill backwards is going to increase my vertical by 4 inches. I'm going to do it, so yeah. No matter what it looks like, but having to Find a Fam is going to allow people to come together and do these workouts together. And I wouldn't be surprised if people are signing up for ATG to get the Find a Fam just to reconnect with people because of how much, we kind of divided it in our own worlds with the virus.
Yeah, I could definitely be a testament to that in the aspect of feeling embarrassed. Sometimes I don't do workouts or I don't feel comfortable looking different. Yep. And I feel like, that's very important to kind of tell our younger athletes, it's okay to be different, not just in the sense of working out, but just in caring. And I think that a lot of athletes are kind of scared to show that they care because it may be different. So I feel like that was something super important that you just mentioned. I hope that everybody listening can take that and run with it. So I really appreciate that.
So if you could try another profession, what would it be and why? Because I know you started very young, and I know you ran into exercise science world and biology and biomechanics and all that good stuff. So what would you do differently if you were 18 again?
Well, if I was 18, I'd be on ATG and I'd be playing pro somewhere. That's
okay.
I always had the work ethic. I just didn't have the know-how. I was always the hardest worker on every team, which is ultimately why I even played in college, because I can't emphasize enough. I was a bad basketball player. I shot a good percentage because I would shoot thousands of shots in the week, but I wasn't a good basketball player. I was a horrible athlete. I just worked hard enough to find a way to make it happen and keep it going long enough where I could find answers for other people. But if I were to go a different profession, I would follow in my dad's footsteps. I would go into the medical field. I would go into some type of medicine. He's an internal medicine doctor. I would go in. I don't think into internal medicine, but I would definitely be pursuing more of a doctor route. Whereas, this is ATG is given an opportunity to help people reduce their pain. So it eliminates the need to go to further schooling. Further schooling can actually be more damaging. I have friends that I've helped, that are doctors and physician assistants. I've helped them get results with the program, and you can tell there's always even getting them results. There's that. There's the thing in the back of their head that, hey, no, we were taught differently. What Dave and ATG is preaching isn't right. Hey, you're getting results. Why fight it? But I understand, once you go through 8 years of schooling, it's going to be hard for you to admit, hey, maybe a lot of that information wasn't correct, or maybe it was bad information paid off by Big Farm, Big Sugar, whatever. I'm not trying to get us, canceled by saying something like that. When you think out, look where the money, follow the money trail, but for me, if it wasn't working in sports, I always had a feeling that I work in sports. If I wasn't working in sports, I would be doing a medicine, maybe sports medicine, something like that.
Okay. And then if there was a single information or best advice you could give yourself, go back in time, maybe a couple years, and give yourself this information, what single piece of information would you tell yourself?
Go after the weaknesses. I always knew we know what our weaknesses are, especially when it comes to sports. In life, it can be a little more confusing. But in sports, it's pretty obvious. When a guy can't go left, he can't go left. When somebody doesn't want to jump off their other plants, they're not jumping off their other plants. That would be the advice I'd give to the young Dave was, hey, don't be afraid of those weaknesses. No matter how weird or different you look, practicing working on those weaknesses, go at them.
Thank you so much, David. This has been the best use of our time today. Thank you so much for this information. We're going to switch gears real quick and play our last segment. It's kind of a little game where we, just like to say, which do you like better, this or that? Okay, we'll have a theoretical 30 seconds on the clock to answer these questions as quickly as possible. All righty. We'll ask the imaginary timer to go up on the board. And our first question, Coach David, dunking or shooting?
Shooting, because you can score more points shooting than you can dunking.
Nike or Adidas?
Neither.
Nice.
What's the alternative?
We need to find those alternatives, whether it's Q4, Stria, something like that, where it's not billionaires making money on child labor. This is another thing. I'm not trying to get us canceled, but hey, if you're going to ask me Nike or Adidas, I'm going to give you the honest answer. I want the truth. I try to wear as little of each. I wear a lot of ATG gear. I have Strias. I have Q4s. Chicago-based company and an LA-based company. From what I understand, they don't use child labor, so that would be my answer there. Okay.
Now I think this is a no-brainer right here. This next one, Italian or Chinese food?
Yeah, that's the Italian.
That's Italian all day, every day.
I'm no longer here. If you guys could experience her cooking, I think everybody would respond Italian. If anybody's watching, they had a chance to experience my Nana's cooking, you would say Italian.
That sounds like you're throwing out an invite. So all we're missing is the ad.
I cook simple. I cook like my diets consist of red meat, like collagen, berries, spinach, and that's about that's about the extent of it. The best I'm cooking is a good hamburger or a low price steak, because I'm not spending $30 a pound on grass fed meat.
All we heard was free food. Next question: NCAA or NBA?
Oh man,
If you're to pick one to watch.
Watch, without a doubt, NBA. Without a doubt, it's the highest level of basketball, from around the world. All these top leagues, whether it's Bundesliga, La Liga, all those leagues are littered with, some of the best athletes, in the world. And NCAA, it's one of those things that I have my experiences with the NCAA. I'm not salty about it, but if I'm advising young athletes that are trying to go pro, we're going to look at different options other than NCAA. We're going to look at what's the best fit for them. I think that the best fit for a lot of these young athletes were to be pulled out of a lot of these programs and just focus on improving their own development, and then getting their ones and getting their fives with like-minded people. That will, result in more growth for a long-term goal than to go to some school like I did and not really be wanted there and to kind of struggle through that. Those are things, like I said earlier, if you can learn from my struggles, don't go to that school. If you really think you want to go pro, like I wanted to go pro, start looking at who has made the biggest transformations and plug into that. And that's ultimately what led me to Ben, and I'm going through a transformation myself.
Okay. East or West Coast? If you pick a vacation spot, West Coast.
I love Clearwater, Florida, where ATG was.
Yeah.
I have love for Brooklyn because that's where my grandma lived and I would visit her. I'm in LA now. It's locked down, so I don't really get a full grasp of what LA is, but I love it all. I would say West Coast, but
okay. Second to last question: strength training or plyometric training?
Strength. If you're not strong from the ground up, if there's not a base there, you can you can really hurt yourself doing advanced plyos or even lighter plyos. Strength first, then build on the elasticity.
Okay. Now this one's might be becoming one of my favorites. Excuse me. Cereal or milk first?
It's been years since I had either. It might depend on the cereal. Whether we're talking Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Reese's Puffs.
What about oatmeal?
Yeah, or oatmeal.
Do you have oatmeal?
I haven't had oatmeal in a couple of years. I've gone real low on the carbs. I only use carbs like on jump days, and I'll use like tubers like potatoes and stuff like that. My staple is like lean red meat, sometimes fatty red meat, not carnivore, but meat based.
Okay. If we were to use Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which one would?
Probably the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay, Cinnamon Toast Crunch first. Good.
I don't know how it's gonna float. Sometimes, it's been a while. I'm trying to go back to that. But I did grow up on cereal. I grew up. We did do a lot of dairy in my household. Yeah. Doctor, my mom being a nurse. But even even that's a perfect example of what I've been trying to tell people is, hey, my dad he still is one of the top doctors in the world. My mom was a top nurse, and even they had it wrong when it came to nutrition because they were just going off of what Harvard Medical told them. And that's a hour-long podcast.
And for our last question, if you were to choose in any generation, doesn't matter, if you were to choose a top starting five, who would be in your dream team of your starting five?
Steve Nash is running the point, MJ at the 2, Kevin Durant at the 3, probably Tim Duncan at the 4, just to bring some type of structure ball to what all those guys are so good at, ISO and stuff like that, and a little more creative. And then the center. I only like using names of guys that I watch. So Green play, so I don't know.
Ditto.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll move Tim up to 5 and put Dirk at 4.
Okay. I'm more so surprised there's not a leaper there. That's my surprise. But that being said, okay.
But I chose shooting over dunking.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Like all those guys can shoot these. So
that is true.
That's an awesome dream team. I mean, I know there's a lot of LeBron lovers out there, but the fact that you didn't mention it kind of tells me that you are well-rounded enough to go back into the day and respect those fundamentals and hard work and everything that was brought to the game. So thank you, I guess, for that.
That's about an eye test about head-to-head. When Kevin Durant's played when he's played LeBron head-to-head, I don't think it's been close. I say that LeBron is better all the time. I don't know what they're watching because, I'm not talking about in the finals when they would switch off and somebody else would guard them. I'm talking head to head. I think Durant, he was moving into the argument of the best player of all time, and then he had a unfortunate injury. And it's crazy how the media can go from potentially the best player of all time to now, ESPN's ranking him 6th in the world. Come on, that is, ESPN's doing those rankings because they know that we'll talk about it, and kudos to them because now we are talking about it. The reality is nobody can score in every position like KD. Maybe LeBron, he's great, and the best thing that he's done with his career is accept that number 2 role and be more of a leader than the actual player.
Yeah. No, I respect that too. More and more, I'm starting to understand LeBron's purpose for the last 18 years that he's been doing, and I'm, respecting it more and more every day. Definitely, Coach, this has been a joy. I, as a trainer, as a coach, as a fellow brother sister coach, I just want to say thank you so much for being able to soak in so much knowledge, being able to take our careers now to the next level too. So we have you to thank, and we just want to know this is the beginning of a great friendship. Like, I want to go to LA and train with you to really just understand, like you said, the imbalance, and really put it into work, and then trust the process. Like you said, like whatever the results are coming out, trust that. And I just want to say thank you very much for just joining us, and especially our audience. So fellas, anything else you'd like to add as well?
Thank you, Coach David. This is going to be absorbed to the max and relayed to my boys. They're paying attention for sure. This was for them.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. This is awesome. It does require a level of promoting, from people like you guys. It's I can keep promoting it myself, but when you guys reach out, that goes a long way. Getting the word out about things that can actually help people in a time when people are suffering more than ever. There's never been a better time to get on board with ATG. And if you don't have the $30 a month, if you look at my Instagram, if you look at Athletic Truth Group, if you look at Knees Over Toes Instagram, you'll find enough information that we're giving out for free that you can start to make positive changes today.
Yeah, no, I want to say thank you as well, and that I've definitely been looking. So I am one of those audience that has been looking. I suffered a knee pain as well, like how Daniel said, on my left knee. So definitely looking to see how I can, get better. And I know that our audience is very thankful for, you taking the time off of your busy schedule to give us some great advice. So I thank you for that a lot.
Thank you.
Well, it was great having you again, Coach. We are now ending our session of episode 2, and we would like to have you again in the future, just to see how ATG is looking for you and the new projects that you have coming. And just know that Undrafted, the podcast, has your back, and as well as ATG as well. And we'll be promoting you guys from here on out. So you have our support. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'd love to do it again. You just let me know when, and when it opens up, when we start to open up, you guys are all more than welcome out here in LA.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Awesome, man.
That was an awesome show, guys. What did you guys think about it?
All of that was literally, I don't know. Was he sitting in here with us as we were asking our questions or going over our questions?
I definitely think that we should have told him on the floor that we used to play with. I think maybe that had a lot to do with why our knees are all busted.
This is very true. And maybe on the next segment, we can talk about that stuff. Maybe that's something that hurt all three of us, and we need to look into that.
No, what can I do if I was a 6'1" center? Just look at him dead in the face.
No, I mean, I definitely am excited, to have that connection, with David, because, that's important. I mean, the question that we asked him about injuries now is just, they're piling up. So I feel like, having somebody like him and being able to understand, the importance of doing it right, and being consistent with it. I mean, I think like he said, it's going to go a long way here in the near future, especially, with the injuries that we've seen in 2020. So no, I thought it was a great episode, and I mean, I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.